नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम Yes, what we discussed in our last session, who would like to summarize?
I'll try.
Most of the time, you can try. Let
I
us
think
hear
that
from someone
traveling.
else today.
Yes, please.
You can try. Ruchiraji, would you like to try? It's been a long time. You have not shared.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, I can try. I just go through my notes, previous notes. So we discussed more about that we are underutilizing the human form of life. The topic was how to see Krishna. So we
Hmm.
discussed about that we are underutilizing the human form of life. Life is completely meant for coming out of the life and death cycle, but we don't focus there. We also discuss that we get so lost in our work, our commitments, etc., that we forget Lord. Um uh, Human form of life is meant for distress and happiness. Um, we also discussed that if we want to have a connection with the Lord, we have to engage our relationships, our property, our bank balance, and that is the highest level of renunciation.
Mhm.
When Krishna touches everything, it becomes spiritualized. Um,
Mhm.
we also discussed that devotee thinks distress is opportunity to come closer to Krishna. You shared a very nice example of a cat holding a kitten and a mouse.
Mhm.
So kitten is very joyful and affectionate, while the mouse is fearful.
Mhm.
So the people who are in the devotion of Lord are the kitten, and people who are not, they are like a mouse, or they are doing some sort of adharma. We talked about that the conditioned soul can get out of material atmosphere in Krishna consciousness. Um, we also talked about that if we want to have Krishna in our heart, we have to remove the anger, enviousness, jealousy, etc. All sort of doshas and anarthas from our heart, and
How
then
that
we
can
can,
be removed?
by constantly practicing Krishna consciousness, by
Which?
connecting,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
by
yeah,
connect, by connecting to Lord, by chanting, by serving the Lord, by putting Krishna in the center of everything.
yeah. But which particular limb or which particular anga, or many times we have discussed this, is one powerful method. So which one is that? Do you remember?
Powerful method
Hmm.
um, of connecting with Lord.
Means removing anarthas, enviousness, and all these things. Yeah.
Constantly chanting.
Hmm. Somewhat, somewhat.
Um, Serving Lord, chanting.
It's very generic term. Ah. Specifically, I'm asking here. Yes, anyone else
Um,
can try. Hmm. So it comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Nashta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. So all the abhadras in our heart can be destroyed simply by hearing the about the Supreme Lord, by doing Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, by hearing about Krishna regular basis, on daily basis, by hearing his holy name, because chanting is one thing. Before that comes is Shravanam, hearing. Hearing is very, very important. Hearing about Krishna, hearing about his pastimes, hearing his holy name, all these things are very, very powerful. When we hear about Krishna, when we engage ourselves, absorb our mind in hearing about Krishna's pastimes, glories, his activities, Krishna Katha, all these things, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, you will see all the anarthas in our heart will be destroyed. All anarthas will be removed. And what will happen? Bhaktir, Bhagavad Bhakti Nashtiki. Nashtiki Bhakti can be established. Irrevocable Bhakti, devotion for that Supreme Lord can be established in our heart. That is possible only by hearing. So that's why we should try our, and this is what Krishna is going to tell today also. In today's verse, this is what Krishna is going to tell also. So we should try ourselves as soon as we get some opportunity, some time, we should try to hear something about Krishna. Something. Yes, please continue, carry on. Yes. What else we discussed?
Prabhuji, all that, I don't think I missed anything.
Okay. One thing I would like
Niveta Mataji can add something.
one point I would like to just correct it. You mentioned that human form of life is meant for happiness and distress, means is meant to come out of that.
Is destined for. I said is
Yeah.
destined. I
Okay.
think
Okay.
if I use the right word.
All right. That means all right. In human form of life, happiness and distress is destined, but we should try to engage ourselves. Just like I gave in this connection one example, if you remember, one story I narrated. Do you remember?
Madhavendra
Yeah, Madhavendra Puri pastime I shared. That Madhavendra Puri, he was thinking that already happiness and distress is destined. So why I have to do so much of work? Let me engage myself in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Let me engage myself in remembering Him, because happiness and distress is destined, but Krishna Bhakti is not destined. I have to earn it. In our life, everything is destined. But one thing we have to earn is, for that we have to put a lot of effort, is we have to earn Krishna Bhakti. That has to be earned. Everything, if you see relationships, money, this, that, everything will come by default in your life, that happiness and distress. But Krishna Bhakti will not come by default. That you have to earn. Yes, Krishna, mercy can be there, but that mercy has to be transformed into proper devotion, has to be cultivated, just like we have previously used a word. It has to be cultivated just like a farmer cultivates. That bija of bhakti you can receive by default, like through some devotees. You can receive through your parents. That family atmosphere through devotees and various other ways you can receive that bija, that bhakti beej or beej or seed of a devotion. But you have to cultivate it. That one has to do in a human form of life. All right. So, any other point someone would like to add? Let us start. All right. So, we'll start today's session. We'll move to next verse. That is verse number 25th. All of you, please join me in chanting the shloka. Devamevaapare yagnam
Devam eva pariyagnam
yogina pariyush pashyate
yogina paryupashyate
brahmavna apare yagnam
Magnam apariyagnam
yagneva Apajuhvati.
Yagni
Duvati.
Anyone would like to chant the shloka? Yes. Yeah, please try.
I try, but it's very difficult one. I think I'll.
No worries.
Evam Devam Ivapare Yagnam Yogina Paryupashyate Brahmagnam Apare Yagnam Yagneva Pajuhavati.
This is wonderful. Yes, someone else? Someone else would like to try? Alright, we'll continue with the translation. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. So, wherein little technical it is, we'll read the purport first, then we'll try to understand more in detail. As described above, a person engaged in discharging duties in Krishna consciousness is also called a perfect yogi or a first class mystic. But there are others also who perform similar sacrifices in the worship of demigods, and still others who sacrifice to the Supreme Brahman or the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. So there are different kinds of sacrifice in terms of different categories. Such different categories of sacrifice by different types of performers only superficially demark varieties of sacrifice. Actual sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yagna. So if we see in the third chapter also, there was a concept of Yagna that Krishna has brought into the picture. Very beginning itself, 3.9, Krishna is bringing this concept of yagna. What is that? Yagna tha karmano nitra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. That work done for Vishnu has to be performed. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed for his satisfaction. Otherwise, work will bind us into this material world. So, here Prabhupada is mentioning factual sacrifice means satisfy that Supreme Lord Vishnu or Krishna. That is the real meaning. Is many times when this yagna comes, so what comes into our mind is some kind of fire sacrifice. Havan, yagna, that fire, all that thing pops up into our mind. But yagna, real meaning of yagna is any kind of activity which is meant for the pleasure or satisfaction of Krishna is known as yagna. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned that chanting the holy name of the Lord is yagna. Yagna praya sanketne yajanti hi sumedasa. Intelligent person will take pleasure in Sanketana Yagna. Only Sumedasa, those who are very intelligent, only they can take up this process. Other people, they may not even understand. Some other people, category of people, they will end up with some ritualistic things, some kind of puja, like as a ritual. They will end up there. But real or those who are very intelligent, they will take pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely sacrifice of worldly possession or sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. There are two kinds of vairagi, or people who sacrifice. One is they simply sacrifice everything. I don't want neti. I don't want money. I don't want this. I don't want that. They will abstain from all the things. But there are other category of people also who sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. To gain this transcendental knowledge, they also make sacrifices. They also make sacrifices. Just like in last session also we discussed this thing. What is that? Nirbandhe sambandha Krishna yukta vairagya uchyate. Whatever you perform that in relationship with Krishna, whatever activity, suppose you have some relationships, friend, mother, father, this, that, so many relationships, you connect Krishna, keeping Krishna as a center. You are working something, you work for Krishna or work for the pleasure of Krishna. In that way, when we do perform our activities, that is highest Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. Uchyate means highest level of Vairagya. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possession for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while others who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice their material possession to satisfy demigods such as Indra, the sun god, etc. And others who are impersonalists sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. So if we understand, sacrifice and yajna has to be performed. And this Krishna only has given to the mankind. Why Krishna gave yajna? Anyone would like to share? We have discussed already this thing. Krishna only have given yajna to the human society. Why? कुछ याद नहीं है, कुछ याद नहीं है. So in the third chapter, Krishna mentions this. Anyone is there sitting with Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Can you open up Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita,
Chapter 3.
chapter 3rd. Verse number 10. Nobody sits with Bhagavad Gita, huh?
Prabhu, we are sitting.
Okay, so Mataji, you open up and you read out, please. Verse number 10, chapter 3rd. Garima Mataji, yes.
Yes. Sah yajnah prajah
Translation.
shrashtah puro. Oh, translation. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation."
Yes. So here Krishna is clearly mentioning that in the beginning of the creation itself, he has given this yajna. For what purpose? So that we can be happy, we can attain lasting, long-lasting, uninterrupted happiness which has no end. That kind of happiness we can experience, and we can get all desirable things just by performing yajna, sacrifice. So yajna is a way to purify our own existence. That is the purpose of human form of life, is to purify our existence. Once our existence is purified, we can go back to Godhead, we can go back to Krishna, we can go back to His supreme abode, Golok, Vrindavan, Vaikuntha. So Krishna only has given this yajna. So, lot of people, they sacrifice material possession. One category of those who are devotee, they sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. They sacrifice everything. Their own comforts, discomfort, everything they can sacrifice. Another kind of people, they sacrifice for some kind of gain, material gain, which is temporary. Here it is mentioned, while others who want some temporary material happiness, they sacrifice for the devatas. Suppose someone wants to have a beautiful spouse, some good spouse, they worship Lord Shiva or Mother Parvati. Someone wants some kind of intelligence and all, they worship Somadev. For good health, different demigods they worship. Surya Yagna, this, that, so many yagnas they perform just to have some kind of temporary material gain, which can give them satisfaction. But what happens? Lot of people, when they get gain also, they have everything in their life, they get completely disturbed. Those who have not come in contact with Krishna consciousness, those who have not come in contact with this process of devotional service, such people, when they get frustrated, everything is there in their life, but still they are not happy, or some kind of disturbance they are getting from their relationships, from their work, this, that. They are trying everything, they have tried everything, best of their capacity, but still they are disturbed. So such people, they think, better let me sacrifice my own identity. Let me sacrifice my own identity. How they sacrifice? By merging into impersonal Brahman. They sacrifice their own identity by merging themselves into impersonal Brahman, Brahma Jyoti. They think, by giving up my identity, I'll merge into that Brahma Jyoti, that effulgence of Krishna. By that will be make all the things alright. I'll be happy. The demigods, who are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Personality, Supreme Lord, for maintenance and supervision of material functions like heating, watering, and lighting of the universe. Those who are interested in material benefits worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called Bhuvishwaravadi. Bhuvishwaravadi means those who believe in many gods. Those who believes in many gods, they are known as Bhuvishwaravadi. But others who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the form of the demigods as temporary, sacrifice their individual selves in the supreme fire and thus end their individual existence by merging into the existence of the Supreme. Such impersonalists spend their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme. In other words, the fruitive workers sacrifice their material possession for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonalists sacrifice their material designation with a view to merge into the existence of the Supreme. For the impersonalist, the fire altar of sacrifice is the Supreme Brahman, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. The Krishna conscious person like Arjuna, however, sacrifice everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus all his material possession as well his own self, everything is sacrificed for Krishna. Thus he is first class yogi, but he does not lose his individual existence. So here Mayavadis or impersonalists, they sacrifice their identity by merging into the impersonal Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Whereas devotees, which are those who are known as first class yogis, they also sacrifice everything, but they do not lose their individual existence. They will also sacrifice everything, but they will not lose their individual existence. So this verse particularly Krishna is mentioning about those who are impersonalist. Some yogis, that's why there are different yogis we discussed earlier also. One is impersonalist, Jnana yogi and Bhakti yogi. So impersonalist, he will sacrifice his own identity and merge into Supreme Brahman or Brahma Jyoti or this impersonal Brahman. Whereas Bhakti Yogi, he will also sacrifice everything, but for the pleasure of the Lord. We'll move to the next verse.
Prabhuji, one question. So is there a comparison in the two? I mean, one is right and one is wrong, or it's just that we are increasing our awareness of two kinds of yogis?
So basically, there is no comparison. Like comparison is there. One is at lower level, one is at a higher level of understanding. Just like a person who is studying in a first class, or a person first grade or first class, or a person who is studying in a 10th class, there is a different gradation. That is the difference. So these impersonalists,
Is the
they
higher.
are somewhat better, but not they have not opted the best process. They are somewhat better. They are also a spiritual practitioner, but it is not the ultimate process. It is
And
not.
Bhakti Yogi is the other. So Gyan Yogi is at a lower level and Bhakti Yogi is at a higher level.
Yeah, Bhakti Yogi is the topmost level, because in Bhakti Yogi, what happens? We develop our personal relationship with Krishna. There is a personal relationship with Krishna is there. Whereas these impersonalists, they attain liberation, but they don't have personal relationship with Krishna. Just like you are there, you are staying in US, you may have US citizenship, but very few people will have a personal relationship with the president of US. Very few people. All of you have US citizenship, right? Suppose you are staying in US and other people are staying in US. They may have US citizenship, but a personal relationship with the president of US will have very less people, very less number of people will be there. So same way, Bhakti Yogis are those who are developing or aspiring to develop personal relationship with Krishna. That is the difference. Hope this is clear. We'll move to the next one. श्रोत्रादीनानि इन्द्रियाणि अन्ये संयम्यग्निषु जुह्वति शब्ददीना विषयन् अन्या इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. We'll read the translation. Some of them sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of the controlled mind, and others sacrifice the object of senses such as sound in the fire of sacrifice. So may go above your head. We'll try to understand more in detail. We'll read the purport. The four divisions of human life, namely the brahmachari, the grasta, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi, are all meant to help become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. So all these four ashramas are meant for what purpose? We can make spiritual advancement in our life. That is the main purpose of these four ashrama. What is that? Brahmachari, grasta, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. Since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like animals, the four orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in his spiritual life. The brahmacharis, or student under the care of a bona fide spiritual master, control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. They are referred to in this verse as sacrificing the hearing process and the senses in the fire of the controlled mind. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness, hearing in the basic principle for understanding, and therefore the pure brahmachari engages fully in Hare Namanu Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from the vibration of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Similarly, the householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendency of human society. But a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratifications. Marriage on the principle of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted unattached sex life is also kind of a yagna because the restricted householder sacrifices general tendency towards sense gratification for higher transcendental life. So it has lot of practical thing to understand this verse, this purport. Here, if we see, it is very, very important that we being human, we have received this human form of life. So human form of life is meant for tapasya, is to control over the senses. That is very important. Just like animals, if you try to make animal, you have to control your senses. Today is Ekadashi, you have to fast. Animals, they cannot fast. They will go and eat whatever they like. You cannot control or restrict the senses of the animals. That is not possible. Whereas humans are supposed or expected to control over the senses. Why? That's why we have been given this higher intelligence. That is the fine line difference between the animals and the humans. Even scripture says, those humans which are not able to control over their senses, they are considered as Dvipada Pashu. They are also Pashu, they are also animal, but have two legs animal. They are two-legged animal. They are also animal. But they are two-legged animal. So human form of life, it is very, very important to control senses. Why? So that they can make spiritual advancement. Either you can have sense gratification or you can make spiritual advancement. How? That let us try to understand. So currently what is happening in this society, if we see Kali Yuga effect is, as it is increasing. Earlier there used to be destruction, lot of destruction through wars, through bombs and all those things. But nowadays, in current days, there are a lot of distraction is there. A lot of distraction is there which distracts our mind. Social media is there, which distracts. A lot of movies are there, which distracts. Earlier old movies, if you see, as soon as some smoking scene comes, immediately there used to be some there used to be some kind of line used to be there. Smoking is injurious to health. Nowadays, on all the movies, smoking has become very normal. There is no such guideline is there. Earlier, as soon as smoking scene is there in the movie, there used to be some kind of line on the screen itself, in between the movie. Now, all these things are not there. That is getting normalized. Just like in Indian society, in US and all foreign countries, living relationship, some affairs, this, that, all these things has become very normal, common. This thing is also coming to India also. And by this, what is happening? The structure of the society is getting affected. The structure of the society is getting affected. And that is what is distraction is. Just like animals. Animals, they have no discrimination. There is no discrimination in the animalistic society. Who is my mother? Who is my sister? All these discriminations are not there. Just like recently in European country or somewhere, there was a case where a person is having a relationship with his own sister, and when he was prosecuted in the court, he was saying that I have a right to freedom and all these things he was saying, so I can have a relationship with my own sister. What is wrong in that? What is wrong in this? I can have relationship with my own sister. Who you are to stop me? So all these things are taking place in the society. These cases of incest are increasing into the society. So this is what is happening. We humans, we are considered to be civilized, but we are going towards animalistic society. Our tendencies are towards animalistic society. So this is all is, if we see, is distraction. Just like grastas, grastas it is a duty. Like they are just like here Prabhupada is mentioning, grastas have a license for sense gratification, but very restricted, very limited, so that they can restrict their senses and they can also make advancement. It is not like they also very, undiscriminately they are also indulging in sense gratification. That is not grasta life. That is grhamedi, not grasta. Grastas are those who have a restricted sense gratification. That is also here considered as this restricted, unattached sex life is also a kind of yagna. How it is yagna? Anyone would like to share how it is yagna?
Focusing on giving birth and grooming and nurturing Krishna conscious kids.
Yes. So sex life has a purpose. What is that? To have a progeny. Now, this unrestricted, or if we see regulated or restricted sense enjoyment, is also a kind of devotional service. When we started understanding principle of surrender, one of the thing is accepting things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness or rejecting things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness. So rejecting sense gratification is also a devotional service. Gratification of senses is not pleasing to Krishna. Why? Because it is sinful by nature. So rejecting that itself is a devotional service. Rejecting that itself is a devotional service. So how come this is, enjoying senses is sinful? Because here if you see, the lower self is controlling the higher self. The senses are controlling the mind is controlling the intelligence is controlling the false ego, and false ego is controlling the soul. Whereas Krishna is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita, where he is mentioning, who will tell that soul is the supreme controller, like soul, then false ego, then intelligence, then mind, then senses, then body. Recently only we have read this verse. तुक्का तो लगा दीजिए कोई.
We have recently read this verse, but don't remember which one it was.
It is a third chapter, last verse it is. Open up third chapter. You have Bhagavad Gita in front of you? Yeah, so you only read now. Last second verse. Evam Budva Param Krishna Yeah, last second verse it is. Please read out. Translation.
43 or 42, Prabhuji?
42.
Indriyani one.
Yeah. Indriyani parani. Ahur indriyabhya. Yeah. But you can read translation.
The working senses are superior or dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So soul is highest, right? If you see in the hierarchy, soul is on high level. But what is happening when we are living on the bodily conception of life? That is what is causing us suffering. That is what is happening when we are indulging our senses, are controlling the higher self. So there is just like suppose tomorrow you go in your company, you are working.
Prabhu,
Now
your
you say,
voice
I am
is
the
very
boss
clear.
here.
Unable to hear you.
Everyone has to listen to me. Everyone has to listen to me. I am the boss here. I will give the order. No MD, no chairman, no owner, no founder. I'll order. My order should be executed. And what will happen? There will be chaos in the company. But yes, MD will throw you out or a chairman will throw you out. But before that, there will be chaos. Same thing is happening. When our senses are controlling the higher self, there is a reaction is there. That's why it is sinful. There is a suffering is involved. Because senses want immediate pleasure, bodily pleasure. Whereas we are Sachidananda Vigraha. We want eternal pleasure. We want pleasure which is derived at Atma level. Chinmaya pleasures. That is what we want. When because Atma's requirement is what? Krishna. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. That is the requirement of Atma. Spirit soul requirement is what? Krishna. Suppose a child requirement is what? Mother. But you take the child to some kidnapper and all, he will be disturbed. That child will be disturbed. Same way, Atma's requirement is what? Krishna. We want simply Krishna, nothing else. But what we are doing? We are giving all temporary things. We are feeding all kind of nonsense to our senses. We are facilitating all these things. We are facilitating. Anyone is facing some hearing problem, like not able to hear properly? I am not able to hear.
I was not able to hear, but now it is clear, Prabhu.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So that's why it is a very chaotic situation. Our senses are taking the control over the mind, whereas through the knowledge of scriptures, our mind should control the senses, should restrain and should control the senses. That is the appropriate way. That is the appropriate way. Just like many a times we get confused with the requirement of our mind or with the requirement of our own self at spirit soul level. At soul level, we get confused. What is my requirement? Our requirement is what? Simply pleasure of Krishna or with Krishna, or we want Krishna. That is our requirement. But we get confused with the sounds of mind. Minds keep projecting other things, that you want this, you don't want this. So there is a difference between myself and my mind. And many a times we get so much confused, then there is a disaster. Just like our tongue. This tongue is the most important senses. If tongue is controlled, then all other senses can be easily controlled. Nowadays we eat so many things. So what is happening? Our tongue is not in control. After 1 hour, I want to eat something. 2 hours, I want to eat that, this, that. There is no end to it. But whereas if you replace this eating tendency simply with Krishna Prasadam, then tongue can be controlled. So it is mentioned, Sharira Abhidya Jal, Jodendriya Tahe Kal, Jibe Pehle Vise Sagre, Tara Madhya Jivati, Logo Maya Sudhumati. Krishna very mercifully, he has given this prasadam so that we can control over all the senses and we can come out of this bondage. So we have to engage ourselves in the, see, if we see controlling the senses is not easy. It is little tough because life after life we have done this thing. We have engaged our senses simply in gratification, not for the pleasure of the Lord. Now this life we are trying to be what we are, right? So there is one habit has been formed. Just like if you see, there was one experiment done earlier, like you might have, you can go and search on Google or YouTube, and so cycle is there, a person is riding a bicycle. So when he turns his right hand, so like this he turns right hand, so it goes into the left. When he has to turn left, it goes into the right. That is the natural. But by certain mechanism they made it vice versa. Like if you turn right, then it will go right. If you turn left, it will go left. So for a person, first time when he's ride the bicycle, it was tough for him. But after a certain number of days or hours of practice, he could able to manage that vice versa cycle, like which is going in opposite direction. After a few days, he was given the correct bicycle again, then he find the same problem. The same thing is happening with all of us. To control the senses is not easy, but it can be controlled simply by giving the higher taste, the taste of Krishna consciousness, by engaging or absorbing our mind in hearing about Krishna or enjoying, keeping our senses in the service of Krishna. Then you will see, you will have a Nava Rasa. Every day will be a new day, and every day will be a new taste. New taste you can experience every day if you engage in Krishna consciousness, if you engage your senses in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, this sense gratification is considered as pouring ghee into the fire. Just like Prabhupada when he went to US, all these hippies, they were completely absorbed in all kinds of intoxication, womanizing on public places. They are doing all those activities without any discrimination. But when Prabhupada gave them prasadam, first Prabhupada gave them prasadam, and yes, of course, gradually they took up chanting also. But when they had prasadam, they could easily overcome all this gratification of the senses. They became the first class devotees. That is the process. By artificial method, by controlling, by restraining, or by subduing forcefully, we cannot control. Just like many people know, they have this concept, neti, neti. No, I don't want help. They leave away everything. They leave away everything so that they'll not get entangled into this sense gratification and all. But how long? They do mona, means they practice silence for hours together. But how long? Because Atma by nature is active. One life you can be silence, next life again it is there. Until and unless you practice engaging your senses in Krishna consciousness, you cannot come out of this cycle. One life you can stop eating, next life you have to eat. Until and unless we develop this concept, right perspective, it is very difficult. Because these senses, the owner of the senses is Rishi Kesha, Krishna. Just like Shabari Muni, he tried to control his senses artificially. He thought when he was performing tapasya, he went to forest or some mountains and all. He saw somewhere some animals, they are having union, they are doing all that. So he went, let me go inside the water, because there is lot of disturbance. Sometimes some animal he is seeing, sometimes some apsara is coming, all that is happening. Let me go inside the water. Inside water, there will be no distraction, there will not be any disturbance. He went inside the water to perform tapasya. There he saw two fishes, small fishes. They are copulating. They are having union. Again he got disturbed, and immediately for thousands of years he was inside the water. He was performing tapasya. As soon as he saw fishes, he got disturbed again. He came out of the water and married some 50 or 100 princes. So artificially we cannot control. But by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we can control the senses. So how this mind, how we are different from our mind? I'll like to share one small video with all of you, that how our mind dictates us. Let us see. 15 minutes video.
Mind is the friend of oneself, and mind is the enemy of oneself. So you have to train the mind. If I train my mind for becoming my friend, then my life is successful. If I train my mind to become my enemy, then my life is unsuccessful. Even they have no mind to hear. You chant loudly, Hare Krishna, they will hear. Their mind will be there.
Quickly, I'll summarize this, what was happening in the video. Hope all of you understood, but I'll just quickly summarize. So initially, it was shown how our mind, it tried to trick us. Suppose we are sleeping, it will our alarm is ringing, but it will be snoozing it again and again. Suppose we want to take bath, mind will tell already you are getting late. Today better you don't take a bath. You apply deodorant and all, get ready quickly and go to your work. Then further, it was like how mind was introducing various kind of distraction through magazine, drinking, all these things, so that we can get distracted and perform sinful activities. That is, what is the influence of Kali Yuga? Kali Yuga, through influence of Kali Yuga, what will happen? Through distractions, our mind will try to influence us in such a way we perform sinful activities. But when in association of devotees, we get to know about the chanting of the holy name, Bhagavad Gita. Initially, when he started reading Bhagavad Gita, he was not able to understand. So when he started the chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita, especially when he's chanting, mind is still not listening. Mind is not at all in favor. Same thing happens with us. Many a times when we do chanting, still our material desires are not going away. Still our contemplation or our attention from the sense object is not going away. Why? Because we are not doing quality chanting. What is quality chanting? Quality chanting is you chant and hear. Currently our chanting is, most of us, we do like a mechanical chanting. But when we hear, so what is happening? Our mind is also actually is engaged in chanting. That's why hearing Nashta Prayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Nashtaki. So when mind starts hearing about Krishna, Krishna's holy name, so all the abhadras that are seated in our heart, all the material desires that are there in our heart, all such things will vanish. And when all these things will vanish, even at the end you saw how Kali Purusha, he came and he himself is trying to allure, but mind himself, no, I don't want. He immediately shoo that away, shoo that Kali Purusha away. Then at the end, what will happen? Nashta Prayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Nashtaki Bhakti will get established in our heart. When such bhakti is there in our heart, you will see Krishna face to face. One can see Krishna face to face. So that's why controlling the senses is very, very important. To have a control over the senses. Just like you saw initially, you may even require to slap your own mind, because mind will keep wandering, take you here and there. So many distractions it may take you. But you have to slap your mind. And how it is possible to slap our mind? By the power of knowledge. It is possible. Many a times our mind will try to engage the senses, but that time we have to, through power of knowledge, we have to tolerate. Prahlad Maharaj says it is like a itching sensation. It is like a itching sensation that you have to tolerate. And when you tolerate, you will be able to easily come out of this. Just like earlier, I gave the example of how this sense gratification is exactly like a camel eating a thorn. He is biting or eating the thorn. He is relishing or he is tasting his own blood. Same way, when we indulge in sense gratification, what is happening? We are performing spiritual suicide. We are committing spiritual suicide. So that's why it is very important. That's why Krishna here he is mentioning how devotees, some of them sacrifice the hearing process and senses in the fire of controlled mind. They sacrifice the senses in the fire of controlled mind. With the mind, how mind can be controlled? When we are well versed with the power of knowledge, mind can be controlled. With the power of knowledge, mind can be controlled. So, with a controlled mind, it is possible to have a control of senses. Then this sense object and all, nothing will influence us. We'll read the next verse quickly, we'll finish up. Almost it is similar. We'll read out this verse. सर्वेन्द्रिया कर्मणि प्राण कर्मणि चापरे आत्मसंयम्य योगन्यो जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपति दीपिते. Translation: those who are interested in self-realization in terms of mind and sense control offer the function of all senses as well as the vital force breath as oblation into the fire of controlled mind. Those who are interested in self-realization, those who are interested in bhakti, those who are interested in spiritual advancement, along with mind, senses, everything, they offer as a sacrifice. So here the process in purport Prabhupada is explaining the process of controlling the breath also, vital force breath. What is that process, and means how yogis they control this breathing process through yoga, which is conceived by Patanjali. We read this. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to here in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. The soul is called Pratyaga Atma or Paraga Atma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Pragatma. The soul is subjected to the functions of 10 kinds of air at work within the body, and this is perceived through breathing system. The Patanjala system of yoga instructs on how to control the functions of body's air in the technical manner so that ultimately all functions of air within the body become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to the yoga system, Pratyaga Atma is the ultimate goal. This Parityaga Atma is withdrawal from the activities in matter, the sense interaction with the sense objects like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, hands for touching, and all of them are thus engaged in the activities outside the self. They are called function of the prana vayu. The apan vayu goes down, dhyana vayu acts to shrink and expands, samana vayus adjust equilibrium, Udana Vayu goes upwards, and when one is enlightened, one engages all those in searching for the self-realization. So when one is enlightened, he engages all his life here, all the senses in the service of the Lord. Here, very nice word Krishna is mentioning, samyama. Samyama means, if we see, controlling the mind. Let us see what is mentioned in Atma Samyama. Controlling the mind. So until and unless our mind is not controlled, there are two things. One is sama, another is dhamma. Sama means, samyama means maintaining peace, calmness, tranquility, serenity of the mind is very, very important. Until and unless our mind is, not peaceful, we cannot act properly. That's why it is very important that our mind should be at peace, and that is possible only when we chant the holy name of the Lord, and especially when we chant fixed number of rounds, committed number of rounds, because mind will tell, oh, today you have chanted sufficiently, don't chant more. Today your quota is done, not 16 rounds is not required, 10 rounds is sufficient. All that is mind will try to do, but when we take with great determination, when we follow our commitment, mind will come under the control. Mind will become samyama. Then it is possible to have a control over the senses. And when senses are controlled with the help of mind, then there is a harmony. There is a harmony. So with this, we'll end here. Anyone has any questions or anything to share or ask, please feel free to share or ask. Any questions?
One small question about the last line. So we are saying that the prana yoga is split into four kinds of, prana vayu is split into four kinds of vayu, and in the harmonious mind, they are in the right directions. Apan vayu is downward, vyan vayu is shrinking and expanding. Is that the way that we say you breathe from your stomach and you do pranayam, etc.? Is it linked to that?
So basically, these 5 airs are there, 5 which are known as prana vayu, apana vayu, jnana vayu, samana vayu, and udana vayu. All these 5 airs have different functionalities in our body. Just like when you see some people, they have a problem in digestion. So another kind of vayu is disturbed. Some people have some kind of, their willingness is very less. So their prana vayu is weak. So all these different vayus have different functionalities. But when a person who is practicing bhakti, you will see gradually all these vayus will align for the enlightenment. Will align for the enlightenment. And when such enlightenment happens, that's why here is mention all one engages all these in searching for self-realization. Self-realization is basically practicing spirituality. So when one engages in practicing bhakti yoga, what happens? All his vayus starts getting proper, like if we see currently our all these vayus are not in equilibrium, not in harmony, they are disturbed, and because of that we face lot of bodily challenges, lot of bodily issues, problems we face in our life. But as and when we practice spirituality properly, you will see all these vayus will help us. Actually these vayus carry the soul. These vayus carry the soul. Carry the soul in the sense is like a vehicle for the soul in this body. Is like a vehicle for the soul in this body. So when these vayus are completely under the control, and how these vayus can come under the control, through either through you go through pranayama, or you start practicing bhakti yoga, or you start engaging in serving Krishna, then you will see gradually all the things will come in place. All these things will come in place. No need to put extra effort to control over the vayus.
Vayus.
Yes.
Thank
Any other question? So earlier in the beginning of session, when Ruchiraji, she was summarizing last session points. So there was one thing I would like to add, very interesting thing, that as mentioned, distress, you were mentioning distress help us to become Krishna consciousness or to develop attachment for Krishna. So yesterday, one thing someone was sharing with me, so it clicked to me today. So I thought I'll share with all of you this point. I remember, like in my childhood, I was little notorious. Not maybe as all of you are. I might be more. So how my father used to punish me is, you know, backside of our house there was a plain land area, and our house was two-story building. Yeah, two-story building. So I was very small. I remember 4 5 year old. So when child they don't listen, no. So father mother they try to uh, create some kind of fear. So what happened? I was notorious, so I'm not listening to my father or mother or something. So my father he used to take me on the terrace, and from the terrace he used to hang me. If you don't listen next time, I'll drop you. Will you follow or not? He used to ask me. Will you follow or not? Will you listen to us or not? If you say no, means father will not drop, no doubt. If you say no, then he is telling I am going to drop you today itself. But if you say yes, he will retrieve and he will tell, okay, now onwards don't do this thing, this activity. So during that time, what used to happen is my father is holding me, but I am holding my father even more tightly. I am holding my father even more tightly with all my strength. I am trying to hold my father. Same thing happens when distress comes in our life. It is an opportunity to hold onto Krishna even more tightly. That's why whenever distress comes in our life, we should take it as an opportunity to make advancement, to develop our relationship with Krishna more strongly. We should take it as an opportunity. We should take it as an stepping stones to learn something, so that our attachment, our relationship with Krishna can get more stronger. So with this, we will end here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Yes, one more important thing. All of you, please take out some time and please write Prabhupada offering. It will be a wonderful thing, and you will see how through Prabhupada and Krishna you will feel the reciprocation, and it's a great opportunity actually for all of us. So please take out some time and write an offering. There are sample of offerings are also there. You can refer to that. You can read out some offerings, that you'll get an idea. There is a guideline also. I have shared PDF. With that also you'll get idea. I think some of you have already, like, you have written in the past also. I think Ramchandra Gupta ji has written last year. Garima Mata ji also has written, and some other also has written who have not joined today. Please, all of you, take out some time and write the offerings. It will be a great thing. With this, we'll end here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.